What up, HyperChange? I'm Kevin.
I'm Gally.
And this is Sippin' and Schemin'. Thanks for joining us. Today we're gonna talk about the buzzword of our generation. It was social, it was internet media, I don't even know, dude. Or some
Internet of Things, mobile, cloud computing, big data, you know, all the buzzwords.
And now it's gonna be AI. So we're gonna have a little talk about artificial intelligence today and see where that takes us.
What it is the hype real? What's good with this new tech trend? I feel like everybody's been worried about the robot revolution. You can't turn on business TV without somebody talking about automation, job loss, AI, no matter what company it is.
Everywhere. You hear about it happening all over the place. Every industry is experiencing some kind of impact from AI, and we use it every day. It's in our phones, it's in our computers, it's Google, it's everything. Like, we use it all the time, we interact with it all the time. A lot of people don't even realize that, you know? We were talking about that earlier, how a lot of people are worried about where AI might go and what might happen, but every time you search for something on Google, every time you see an ad from Amazon pitching you something, that's all artificial intelligence gathering the information that you've been inputting into the computer to show you for that split second an ad that's hopefully relevant to what you want.
Everyone thinks this AI of this far off robot revolution that's gonna come, when in reality it's already being integrated into our lives every day. And I think when you look at it from that lens, it gets a lot easier to understand how it's gonna evolve into the future. So the things that I think about every day are my Twitter feed, my Instagram feed. A lot of the data that's being presented to us is already done by artificial intelligence algorithms designed by some of these huge tech companies. You know, when I think of our YouTube channel, HyperChange, more than half of our viewership comes from artificial intelligent algorithms on the YouTube platform recommending our show, because it's so great, to all these people who might want to watch it. But like, literally, like, our business is almost built off of artificial intelligence is saving us all our marketing dollars. True. Because it just thinks our content's good and shows it people who it'll think will want to watch it. All these examples like that where it's already in our daily life, like Google, you know, Google is a massive AI kind of already that you can figure out anything you want to.
Mm-hmm. For me, AI, the bigger issue is moving 10 years down the road, 15 years, 20 years down the road, where it's not just, you know, it helping you answer a question or whatever. When it becomes more autonomous and it gives you this sense of another being, that's where the paradigm, where the questions, where the fears lie, more so than our current entrance into that field.
Are we gonna have things that look like humans that we think are like humans that are in our daily lives? Or is it gonna be like Alexa is around us and sounds like a human and we talk to her, but she's just built into everything? There's like so many directions that I see this going.
Well, there was something I was reading about, and the question was, is our concept of what AI should be and can do shaping and driving our development of AI?
Yeah, I think that's the only thing driving.
You know,
right?
We have like this idea of what it can be and what it can do and what it, you know, is going to be, and from movies and from all this sci-fi and all this stuff. That narrative of AI versus the reality of the engineering and the science behind it.
In reality, I feel like AI is getting used for like specific use cases instead of like this one AI who knows everything. Like in the Tesla cars, they're building in this AI platform to be able to drive the cars themselves. But you know, when you take a step back, that's like a really simple or like narrow focus,
or that's confined. It has
simple,
right,
but yeah, confined.
It's confined. It has parameters in which it works under.
So I think there's going to be a lot of confined AIs everywhere, and then this kind of builds in to framework to put a frame around it. I've heard this theory that all the tech companies want to develop their own artificial intelligence platform / assistant kind of personas. And they're all going to focus on doing different things. And, you know, we're already seeing that. Alexa, Amazon, Siri, Apple, Cortana, Microsoft. I think Samsung has one called like Bixby. Facebook is trying to launch their own And I think that's interesting because there's like regardless of the arms race on the military side of killer robots, which we can talk about later, of like governments building them. Right. There's like the flip side of tech companies who are in an arms race to build their own super intelligent beings, and each one of them will have it. And I think whoever has the best super intelligence being will be the best consumer tech company going forward. So that's why we're all seeing them invest in this sort of digital assistant. And I feel like it's too late to stop. It's already
happening.
It's already happening. Like a good portion of homes are already having a Google Home or an Alexa.
I think that's interesting, where these different companies, these providers of this AI. So like in the future, when we have access to AI, who's the company on top providing that AI to everybody? Is it Google? Is it Microsoft? And how does that change from company to company?
I think Scott Galloway has an interesting theory where he thinks Apple will be the AI for music and entertainment. Google will be the AI for information, like getting your questions answered. Amazon will be the AI for shopping and products.
Interesting.
So kind of like exactly what they do now, but just doubling down on it and becoming the AI version. And I think that, to me, gives me a little bit of hope of, well, maybe if they're all developing their own AI, they'll work together to develop a regulatory framework to make sure they're all in check.
Right.
So I almost kind of like the fact that we have these tech giants in the open battling each other over AI, because as opposed to like, I don't know, do you think there's one company running it all?
No, definitely not. And I agree with you. I think that's to have everybody kind of going at it from different angles, and at the same time trying to develop the best is going to not only make each AI more competitive against the other one, but like you said, there's a checks and balances where hopefully they're going to be the ones, these people who are leading these companies and developing all the software are going to have to be the ones who also set the parameters under which all this can operate. Because I think the biggest moral question with AI is, do the benefits outweigh the potential net consequences of it going wrong? Totally. There's so many benefits. It can go what AI can do to help humanity is so vast, but one fault and it could go terribly, terribly wrong. Tesla's cars, if one thing messes up and someone dies, at the cost of that they have to develop something that's so secure that can't happen.
Or that it's so secure that less people are dying
people are dying today.
But even that's a kind of finicky thing where who gets the blame? If it's safer than whatever.
Right.
But I think, so you mentioned all these good things that can happen from AI. What do you see? Give some examples. What comes to mind?
I think the medical industry can be huge, where AI can help diagnose diseases and stuff earlier. They can take information from, or that they can develop maybe even cures quicker, faster, taking hundreds of different cases and kind of compiling all that information and running tests faster and everything. The information part, the machine learning part is going to help us as humans learn even more. I think about that all the time, how nowadays our generation, everybody who has access to the internet now knows so much more than people who, even in the 90s, 80s that were alive, our parents. We have access to so much more information. We already know and are aware of so many more things. Even that I think is going to be huge. I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I see it. I like the medical example, and it brings up to mind in the Undoing Project, the book by Michael Lewis. They have an example about how they design an algorithm to determine whether there's some sort of cancer in an x-ray, and there's 7 parameters that doctors look for. So they talk to all these doctors, what do you look for to find this tumor or to find whether this person has cancer in the x-ray, and they list 7 attributes, if this part's inflamed, if this thing is out of place here. They plug this into an algorithm and then tested all these x-rays with the doctors versus the algorithm. The algorithm was so much more accurate, and they would even show the same x-ray twice to the same doctor, in different orders, and they would have different diagnoses. Awesome. So I think that's an interesting microcosm where it's we need the humans to design it, really do it, but AI could be so much better at executing these tasks. That one doctor who does a breakthrough and is the best at treating a certain type of cancer disease, his expertise can be almost commoditized to the whole world if we put it into an AI in the right way.
Interesting.
So I think that is super exciting to me, and I think humans, the quality of life, truck driving, we did an episode about that. I think it's sort of taboo to say, but I think when you really take a step back on a hundreds of years level, there's a lot of jobs that are just not healthy for humans to do all the time. They're not a good, enjoyable life. If you're doing some sort of menial labor task that you don't like, all that could go away if robots do it.
For sure, definitely.
All these menial, hard tasks. And then maybe that leads to an explosion of creativity among society.
Right, and I think that's I'm glad you brought up creativity, because that's a crux of like what makes humans human. You know, creativity, art, you know, and all that stuff is what makes humans human. No matter how advanced AI is, the understanding is that it won't be able to do that. It won't be able to have a will to go out and do something because they were feeling it or whatever. Right?
Yeah, they can't go 0 to 1.
Right.
They go like 1 to 100.
And back to that, you know, these parameters that it's operating under. You know, it's always going to be, or hopefully it will be confined to, you can do all these things, but it's always going to be in this framework, you know?
Totally.
Back to the point, I watched this Martine Rothblatt debate about AI, and she was talking about how taking AI away from information side, but having it replicate consciousness, right? Individual consciousness. She was talking about how there's these 3 steps about replication, application, and then fascination of AI. So like the replication of a human mind, a consciousness, right? And then the application of that, and her example was Alzheimer's and dementia, and how you could take bits and pieces of the important parts of that person's memory and kind of put them into an AI system, an autonomous system that could help replace portions of your brain. As Alzheimer's and dementia patients are progressing in their disease further and further, they can rely more on AI to help them remember things, remember people, remember memories. And I thought that was so interesting. My grandmother is kind of going through something like that, and she's having a hard time remembering people's names, remembering things, and she'll say things over and over. And I think that's a huge application for it, you know, unless they find a cure for it beforehand. But that's huge for not only the patient, but also everyone around that person. And I think that's a very realistic application for that.
And that's Neuralink. It's funny you bring this up because maybe we're getting Neuralink too soon, but they want to tackle medical diseases first.
Yeah.
Before really being, and for those of you guys who don't know, you should know if you're listening to HyperChange, Neuralink is Elon Musk's company that wants to put a little chip in your brain. They're just a startup now. And eventually they want to combine the human mind with artificial intelligence so that we don't lose the race and become really dumb compared to AI because we have it integrated within us.
Yeah.
And the first way they want to commercialize that tech is to cure diseases, and Alzheimer's is like the first one they want to tackle.
For sure.
With I'd imagine it sounds like Martine Rothblatt was explaining almost a Neuralink-esque device.
Yeah, right.
You know, where it's in your brain and you can... So that's a good part of AI right there.
Definitely.
So like this is all good things.
These are all great things. Like I was saying, there's so many benefits. And then there's the negatives. What are the negatives? Hacking, right?
What about job loss? Because I feel like that's the first one where everyone hits job loss.
Okay, job loss.
95% of people used to be farmers, if not more, in the United States. Mm-hmm. And then that all went away with all these innovations in the Industrial Revolution. I just think humanity has always evolved our occupations perpetually. Mm-hmm. And like HyperChange, we have perpetually accelerating disruption. That's going to cause perpetually accelerating job loss and displacement and change. It's not going to happen all at once. I feel like everybody's waiting for this moment where everybody loses their job. It's like already happening. Amazon's already buying Whole Foods with the tech to remove cashiers from the stores, but they're going to turn those cashiers into knowledgeable salespeople who can explain more about the products. And this immediate thing of like every job goes away is just way too surface level. Society will adapt. People will get displaced.
That's definitely gonna happen.
People are getting, like, you're a truck driver early in your career, maybe you're screwed.
Yeah, in a grander scheme of things, and that goes into, there are things we cannot even fathom. We can't even foresee what that's gonna bring.
Like new job opportunities.
New job opportunities, like the internet. When the internet was invented, I'm sure that cut away a bunch of things as well. But with the development of the internet, look at how many other jobs were created. Look at how many other industries were created. So we can't even understand what that might be or what functions may go into having to maintain AI, having to do all these things. Those may be opportunities for more jobs to be created, for more industries that we don't even have right now to be created.
That's exciting.
And I think that's exciting, right? From a HyperChange perspective, that's the kind of disruption we want to see. It's not just the negative. Yes, it'll cut away a bunch of menial labor jobs, but it'll help bring in a bunch of other jobs I know I always say this, man. I wish like sometimes you're in the Renaissance where everyone was like an artist and creative. You know, I think that like it's beautiful, like human creation. So many people are creative but don't have the ability to express that or show it all the time. You know, if there's a way to enhance human creativity even more, that's only a good. I mean, in my opinion, that's a good thing. You know,
That's a win.
that's a win. Yeah, definitely. So I have this other thing about like what it means to be human,
Okay.
and a human's will is to survive, to live,
And procreate, maybe.
procreate.
Those two.
Sure, but a machine's purpose is to become smarter. Marnie, growling. Like a machine's objective is to learn more and become smarter. And there's a very clear line where do we as humans trust this promise of AI? How do you moralize AI? How do you put a moral into a machine? You know, we make decisions based on our morals. Is this right? Is this wrong? Whatever. You know, if a machine decides that this is the best method and it executes it, is it necessarily morally the best choice? How do you balance that?
And that's the whole thing of like giving them too much power. And that's why I think Elon Musk is so open about not wanting to give AI so much power and not regulate it, because I think that's where it gets dangerous. That question shouldn't be left for the AI to, like, we shouldn't like give him the benefit of the doubt on that.
Right.
And be like, oh, well, he'll probably develop a good moral. That's what I think
No.
Elon Musk's approach is, and I think that's just the so much smarter way to approach this is like, look, like there's a chance this thing develops its own morals, and there's a good chance those morals aren't aligned with ours.
Right.
And his is, well, I need to build more of my machines, so I'm gonna enslave all these humans to do this to get me more to do. I don't know. You know, and then I always think Elon Musk has this crazy comparison of like, if we don't have Neuralink, if we're not integrated with artificial intelligence, we become a house pet within our lifetime to the relative intelligence of an AI. What Marnie is to you and me, we are to an AI. Almost,
Interesting.
we're way closer to Marnie than what an AI would be to us. Like, we're a pet to them because we're so menial and have less intelligence. And that's why he wants to start Neuralink, combat that and give us a chance. But then when you think, okay, like, how do we treat mosquitoes? How do we treat all these other animals? Like, we don't really give a shit. How do you treat your dog? I don't know. You leave him in a cage,
sure,
you walk
for
him on
sure.
a leash. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're almost cutting ourselves out of the food chain, dropping our own notch on the food chain.
Yeah.
If we let a super AI come out.
Damn, that's a crazy thought. It's a scary thought.
That's a really scary thought because it makes you feel like powerless almost in a lot of ways. There's computers everywhere. We all have computers. They're all connected. I'm not a software engineer. How do I know that an AI like doesn't get on the internet and it's on the internet and just roaming around? I don't know,
Right.
you know? And then goes into the power grid and shuts that off if he's not feeling that. There's so many ways
Yeah.
that shit could get screwed up. Even Tesla's cars are all connected. They're all going to be self-driving. Is that not the holy grail of hacking? To like
Yeah.
hack the Tesla network?
That's what I'm saying. Hacking is crazy. Potential negatives of that are unfathomable. It could go so bad.
It could go so bad. And so maybe this is a good time to talk about the killer robot ban. Elon Musk and all these physicists.
We were reading, The Guardian put out an article saying that Elon Musk led 116 experts, including Alphabet's Mustafa Suleyman, urging the UN to block the use of lethal autonomous weapons to prevent killer robots, basically. That's a very reasonable move to make. And I think it's like a thing that you have to get in front of. This isn't even a realistic thing yet, but you have to put that first and foremost before you even go into development, because if you don't have any guidelines, if you have no rules...
Yeah, and then what they're saying is it'll become an arms race, right?
Yeah,
Either
right.
we decide to regulate this and say nobody's building killer robots, or it's an arms race.
And everyone's going to try and build...
And it's like the incentives are for you to build this killer robot as fast as possible, because or else Russia's going to build it faster.
Yeah.
That is like a really
And that's
scary
really
place to be.
dangerous. Yeah.
Because then the incentives are aligned to make the most powerful, most autonomous, most destructive robot as fast as possible. That's the incentive of the government right now, as the military structured. So,
like nukes.
that should freak everybody out. I don't know.
Crazy,
Now
man.
I'm getting like a little bit sad.
Now you're a little bit worried. Think about all the negatives the internet had. Like all the benefits that the internet gave us, but also all the negatives that the internet gave us. Would you... Knowing all the negatives that the internet gave us, would you 25 years ago still say, hey, I want the internet?
Yeah.
Right.
So
I
you
would
gotta
too.
look at it like that.
I would too. So I think you have to look at it that way. I think everybody wants to be safe. That's not a question. Like, people want to be safe, you
Definitely.
know? And I think because these big corporations are the ones who are investing in and developing all this technology, that's also a priority for them. Thinking about it that way, I do trust Elon. I do trust Zuckerberg. I do trust to not fuck us real hard, you know, to put in things, safeguards, and develop new things that we can't even think about right now. We can't even think of.
Right? If they kill us all, they can't make money from us. So, you know?
Yeah, if we all die.
If we all die, they can't make...
And if we had, like, Snap Drone, little guy on your shoulder, AI integration can help you. Your little own Alfred that can help you around the house and stuff like that. The possibilities are endless, and I think it's great. I think it's really, really great. And if I frame it in that context of, like, the internet, I would still want the internet nowadays, even though there's hella hacking and cyberbullying and black market on the internet. It's so like there's a ton of, like, bad shit on the internet too. It's a really tricky thing.
It's so tricky.
It's so tricky.
I just don't know where. Yeah, and that's why I'm so confused about this whole Elon Musk Zuckerberg beef. Of Elon Musk wants to heavily regulate and be careful about AI. Zuckerberg is saying it can do great things and everything, which is true, and which Elon Musk has said as well. Why is someone not taking the approach of let's be super cautious and regulate this? That's what I don't get about Zuckerberg. The other crazy thing is the tech companies are going to get more powerful than governments in a lot of ways. I have a lot more faith in Amazon and Google and Apple developing a powerful AI before a government can. And maybe I don't understand our government's capabilities. That's a whole power shift of society that has kind of been in the works. Look at the fiscal situation of any government relative to Apple. You know,
yeah,
200 billion. They have 175 billion in net cash. That's without debt. That's like 175 billion to spend on ammo. They could build a massive. These cash reserves of these tech companies are quickly approaching the size of the U.S. military budget.
Yeah, right.
Like, they're almost in the same ballpark, or not really.
But they could easily start building.
Could easily start getting there, and they're the ones with the lead in AI. So I almost see a new paradigm. I think this has personally already been happening where governments have been losing power to tech companies. But I just see that going a million miles an hour when AI hits.
Yeah, dude. I think a lot of people have, like, had that framework of where do they see AI existing. It's like, oh, you know, on your phone and stuff like that. And they don't even think about, like, the military aspect.
They don't think about the military. And that's Elon Musk's whole point.
And that's the whole point. It's like, you're not thinking about that right now.
Till they kill you in the streets, and then it's too late.
Yeah.
We need to stop this. But, what the scariest thing about the whole report, screw regulations or whatever, this could be built within a couple years. We could have autonomous killer robots. And if you think about it, we already have autonomous drones that are killing people that fly around.
Not that far.
We're not that far.
Actually, for all we know, they already have one.
They probably already have it.
And it's just, like, locked up somewhere.
Just locked up. He's locked up.
They, like, pulled the plug, turned the power off right now. But, like, it could easily, you know? Damn.
So how do we bring this back? Is this going to affect industry? Is this going to affect investing, the economy?
Yeah, I mean, the applications are endless, right? Think about, could we use AI to help us invest our money better? Definitely. AI algorithms and their unbiased, no moral kind of judgment on what you should do is going to definitely do better than you, the human, who is like, oh man, I don't know if I want to do this right now. I can't, everyone's wishy-washy. Humans are wishy-washy. AI is not going to be wishy-washy. AI is going to run a program, and it's going to tell you this is probability-wise the best outcome. This is what you should do. Like, and this is what they're going to do. There's no moral aspect of it. It's all numbers. It's all zeros and ones that give you a probability saying that this is the best option. That could be crazy. Like, how does that shift? If that's a thing that people are using.
The big part that I think about investing is what about if you need to meet a CEO? Like, you're analyzing the CEO. Is he a good guy? Do I believe in his innovation? Those are such hard traits for an AI to quantify. That's why I almost think investing is the last thing. Real investing. If it's trading and market making, can an algorithm be one step ahead of your order and put it in faster? Sure. But can they really analyze and understand the framework of a business model and how
a person
and how that all fits within all of society? I think by the time they figured that out, they've figured everything else out already. So
Yeah, right.
so that's, I think, investing in some ways is like the last thing. But there's a weird thing, what we were saying, of doctors and policy making where AI could get big. The Undoing Project, their whole thesis, that book, is that humans are flawed at making judgments consistently, systematically. That, and they're publishing this in papers, and it's the backbone of behavioral economics, which is changing all of how people understand finance. This, to me, culminates in evidence. The Undoing Project is evidence that AI will be better at mass government level decision making than humans.
I totally agree.
So, and you kind of think about it and you're like, that's probably right. Like they could take all the GDP data and figure out when we need to build a new road or whatever.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean? And government's so inefficient. We have so many people working on it. In one way, that's good. The way I see AI playing out is like it's great for 50 years and everything's amazing and gets better. And then we gave the AI too much control and they screw us. And it's just building up to that. We give them more power because it's like, oh, you're better at making decisions than us. And they literally, to do that, you have to grant them the autonomous ability to make a decision that humans don't want to make because we're giving them that power.
Mm-hmm.
Inherent in that, doesn't that mean we can't stop their decisions? But we've also all agreed that they're going to do what's best for us. This science is starting to back up that. I don't know. It's just a weird fear in my head that AIs will run governments in the future or be like decision makers in some regard. Because
it's just gonna be so much better.
They're gonna be so much better. And that's gotta be a question that's gonna have to come up as the evidence keeps building.
Yeah.
The cars are just the tiniest example of that. You know what? It's actually gonna be illegal for you to drive soon because there's a 0.1% chance you might kill somebody. And that's
like the human error.
Yeah, it's gonna be illegal for a human to drive a car instead of illegal to let a robot drive. That's the flip.
The reversal.
In who has the
power,
real decision-making ability. And I think that's just going to happen everywhere in society. And then we lose a grip on everything when that gets out of control.
Going back to what we were talking about, like who is the AI provider? You're saying, oh, this AI is going to be working in our favor to benefit us, to make us safer. These are your morals. You're going to help us and not determine enemies.
Build
how do you determine an enemy,
Like our goal is to maximize welfare for the most number of people. Like we're gonna have to write this shit out. I don't know.
Clearly, but how?
I mean, our government, I don't know. I don't want to make any comments about the current government, but
But let's just say the AI would probably do a better job.
Let's just say the AI would probably do a better job.
On one hand, I'm excited. On the other hand, don't want to.
I'm almost like, should we just not build AI?
I don't want.
Should we just not?
I don't want to think about it because
I don't want to think about it either.
When you really delve into this, the conversation is endless.
It's endless.
There's so many things you have to consider. There's so many things you have to worry about. You have to worry about it sooner rather than later because there could be that point where you cross the line and it's too late.
Yeah, totally.
And that could be an instant.
Like we maybe already passed it.
So it's like these conversations need to happen so far in advance. Anyone who's dealing with this has to be considerate of all these factors, all the positives and all the negatives, all the concerns that everybody has. Humans have to feel fully comfortable putting their trust in AI to make the right decision for them or to do the right thing. I don't know 100% of the time, but definitely more than me as a human, right? That trust is huge. You kind of have to consider everybody's qualms with it.
I hear what you're saying. It brings up a million more questions than answers. And I feel like that's why I want to do this podcast because it's such a... AI, when you hear it, it's such a big word and concept and seems to infiltrate everything. But then when you get down to it, you don't understand. No, I don't feel like
no one
I don't
understands
understand it. There's so many questions. What's a best case scenario for AI in the next 5 or 10 years? Like, what do we see happening? Are we just hyping it up and nothing really happens for the next 5 years? No,
I mean, I think the best case scenario for AI is, I don't know. I don't even know. Like, what is the best case scenario? That is an assistant type of thing, where it can do processes and stuff like that on its own, but humans at the end of the day still have that kill switch on top.
Yeah.
Like we have to give it a command in order for it to do anything. But it can do way more, much faster than a human could.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about medical industry. It can do subcategories of analysis or whatever much quicker, much faster and then store all that information for the next time.
And I think there'll be a period which we're kind of entering in where the AI gives you one answer and the doctor gives you one answer. And the doctor's using the AI, you know, and he takes into consideration, but it's not the end all be all. So hopefully that's kind of a good way that it kind of evolves, and it's just like people are getting smarter, like what you were saying with Google. We all get smarter because we have access to AI. It makes...
And then maybe like Neuralink. Maybe it's like a cyborg situation.
It is a cyborg situation.
You're half human, where you have human consciousness and morals and everything, but you're using this technology to enhance your mind, to enhance your life, to enhance your computing power.
Your personal
computing power as a human.
Which is kind of what our smartphones do.
Yeah. But arguably, Siri, even Alexa, it's just like, they still suck. What do I use Alexa for right now? Turning off the lights.
And a timer.
And a timer. Like, that's basically what I use AI for right now.
I mean, you're using AI, though. I don't even know if you could call that AI, because you just turn off the lights and she turns off.
It's a command. It's a command. I give them a command, and she does
pressing a button.
She does a thing.
Yeah. So who's gonna be big in AI company wise? We got Amazon.
Amazon for sure.
Google,
Facebook, Apple.
They're all gonna try.
Tesla.
In their own kind of way.
I mean, they're all trying already, right? Everyone's like going for it right now. It'd be really interesting to talk to people who are actually the ones developing this stuff and see from their perspective, how are they approaching the development? How are they approaching writing these algorithms and codes?
Like, what's the morals? Are they writing in rules? You know?
Are there rules? Yeah.
I don't know. All I've got to say is after this conversation, I'm rooting for Elon Musk to get this ban passed on killer robots.
Definitely. I'm not trying to be in a war.
I'm not trying to be in a war, bro.
It's humans against robots. We're gonna die. Like, that's it.
Our robots.
We're gonna be slaves, and that's it. There's no question about that.
If we survive,
we won't make it.
What do they call it? The third level of warfare?
The third. Yeah.
Dude, that's a doomsday. You guys want to have nightmares? Go read this report that
the third age of war.
The third age of war, which is about to descend upon us imminently unless we regulate this. So that's why we're like, fuck, this is a disaster. This is just a
debacle.
A debacle.
A true debacle.
No way to say it. Let's just unplug everything right now. Like, can we just do that? Fuck it, dude. That's what I was thinking when you were saying, like, oh, well, what are we going to really have AI, you know? Medical's one thing. Okay, like, there is all these ways. Really, what's it going to be? Like, making our apps better? I can yell at Alexa to order an Uber instead of typing, you know? But maybe that's just how it starts and how we integrate it. Realistically, for the next 5 years, I think it's dumb shit like that is actually what AI gets used for, you know?
Yeah.
It's the Roomba who cleans your apartment. It's order an Uber. It's get a Seamless. And then, while this is happening, AI is getting better. He's getting more places. We're building our trust with AI, therefore letting it have more responsibility, and then that just kind of builds up to our demise.
We have to be careful.
Gotta be careful.
That's the thing. Like, the development of AI is going to parallel human trust of AI. As we trust it more, we're going to allow, like you were saying, we're going to allow it to do more. Right?
Yeah, it'll be like this gradual kind
of rise. And it'll keep going.
Yep.
You know, and then we'll be like, oh, we're more comfortable. Think about 15 years down the road. Now it's all over the place. We're feeling really comfortable with it. It's kind of a thing like an iPhone where it's so integrated with our daily lives. How can we imagine not having a phone? I mean, we grew up still in an era and a decade where cell phones were not a thing. And so I still remember that. But I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of kids, a lot of young people. You never didn't have a phone. You have little kids with iPhones and stuff like that. And so that stuff is so ingrained in you, so integrated into your daily, everyday life. It's sticky. How do you take that out now? If something goes wrong, you know, how would you remove that? What are what's the procedure to remove or to downgrade?
Yeah, it's not
to
easy.
roll back
not
thing.
Easy
like, what's the rollback procedure? You know, if something goes wrong.
I feel like there is no rollback. With their AI, I don't know.
You set one foot in and you're like, oh, well, here we are.
Like, build a bunker? Like, is that your rollback? Like, unplug it?
Become Amish?
Drop, like, an EMP to, like, destroy all the electronics?
Drop an EMP and then, like
live in your bunker for
become
a year
Amish.
Become Amish? I mean, that's one move.
That is one move.
So is that what we're doing?
Here we go. We're moving to the countryside.
We've got a bunker we can stay in.
Next HyperChange episode coming to you via pigeon mail.
Should we wrap it up and do leave a question?
I don't think there's really a good conclusion to this conversation. It's very open-ended. There's so many ways it can go, but I think for us, we want to throw it out to you guys, everybody who's listening. Send us an email, comment, let us know what you think. Do you stand on this issue? Where do you see it going? We're at this early cusp of it, and I think there's a long way to go still, but we got to start talking about it. We got to start getting ahead of all this stuff before it's too late.
And now is the time where we can actually make moves. It's not even just about talking. I think having a conversation about AI is what everybody should be doing, because the only way we're going to learn about it and think about how to regulate it is if we talk through it. So I think that's dope. And now's the time to do it before the killer robots are here.
For sure.
So
there's still time.
We want your guys' opinion on, are we crazy? Is the killer robot revolution going to happen? Like, maybe give us a guess on what year.
And let us know what you think. Where do you think AI is going to live first? What are the things, the positives and the benefits you see?
That's it. Sipping and scheming. See you guys next week. I'm Gally.
I'm Kevin. And
Marnie says bye too. Marnie, do a bark.
Ruff, ruff,
ruff. She's wagging her tail. All right, that's HyperChange. Sipping and scheming. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.